time Kindle came out, it was not very successful because it was not good looking, it didn't move as fast, but this DX model is doing a great job, and those of you who really read a lot, this is a fantastic little thing that you can carry, and on call you can get any book, any magazine, any newspapers on the Kindle.
Well, you know, Ramesh, I know you follow the Dow Jones, so I'm curious what you think of this, because if you've been following it, you recognize that the Dow is actually moving up. We started 2009 just around 8,800, and then we had, of course, a series of falls. Well, now, this latest trend, the Dow is starting to come back up. In fact, almost coming back to a recovery point for 2009. In other words, it's as if the last 6 months didn't happen, which is good. That means, you know, we're starting to slow down that downward trend in the stock market. But there was a great article that Fareed Zakaria wrote in the Washington Post, because he says all around the world, including here in the United States, the markets seem to be stabilizing. And this is happening everywhere from India's Sensex to China's Shanghai Index. And even in Japan, markets are starting to come back. They're not volatile like they used to be. They're becoming somewhat stable. And he says that in spite of all the gloom, there is some good news, but it's happening faster in countries overseas and in the Asian markets than it is here. And part of that is because the negative sentiment we all have been feeling doesn't exist overseas and in those countries and markets. So consequently, they're coming back much quicker. India, for example, is one of the leaders. And just car sales in India, partly because of the Tata Nano car, have been up 4.2%. So that industry, for example, is booming. There's other industries and other sectors, and it's not just in Asia. It's also happening in Brazil and in the Latin countries. So you almost feel like, you know, around the world there was a repercussion to this recession, but the world has started to pick up and move again. And maybe, you know, the analysts are right that by the end of 2009, the U.S. will also start to come out of its hole and back up the slide.
You know, they say, aapke muh mein ghee shakkar. Let there be sweet in your mouth, you know. But I want to tell you, people don't like adversity. People don't like to live in bad times. They will live with it for 6 months or a year.
Then you get tired of it.
And then they will force themselves to accept the situation and say, no, it can't be like that. So people are becoming comfortable with it. And that's what the market is showing, confidence. You go out and buy a couple of things. Not as much as you did before, but yeah, a little bit. The savings rate has gone up for the first time.
That was a big point in this article also, just talking about that Americans have changed fundamentally their habits. We've become a little bit more of the saving kind than the spending kind. And that's actually a good thing for us, right? I mean, a lot of our industry and our markets are built entirely on credit, and we haven't been using it wisely. But if we start to discipline ourselves better, then you have a fundamentally more sound economy.
This story you will really like.
Should I be nervous?
Ratan Tata, 71 years old, and anybody who is from India understands that Tata Company is a conglomerate. It has so many businesses. They recently bought Corse Company. They bought Jaguar. They bought one other car company.
They make all the trucks and the buses.
Yes. I mean, they are the largest company in India. 71-year-old Tata is looking for someone to replace him. He doesn't find that in his family. He has not found them in India. So one person he's been wooing, Indra Nooyi of PepsiCo.
Of course.
He wants Indra Nooyi to be the chairman or the CEO of Tata Company, and she has steadfastly refused it.
Well, Pepsi is a pretty big empire unto itself, and I think Pepsi overall is a well-known name versus Tata.
That's right. She doesn't want to do it, so he's out there looking for a CEO. Of course, he's looking at Arun Sareen, Citigroup CEO Vikram Pandit, or Ajay Bhanga, who's Asia chief for the city. So the guy is looking. If any of you think that you can replace Ratan Tata, go ahead, make an application or find a way to meet him, because he's certainly looking.
You think he puts that job on Monster.com? You think it's out there for us to apply? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to find it.
But it's an amazing job if someone gets it.
I'm just curious to see what the next generation brings, because, you know, the other big giant in India is the Ambani brothers, right?
But they're still young.
They're still young, but, you know, there's some family rift there, so you just wonder, you know, what will happen in the future. This could be like, you know, the soap opera of Indian tech industries.
That's very true. By the way, folks, being a CEO is a management position. An entrepreneur can only so far manage things. After that, they're looking for professional managers to manage the company.
Well, sure,
and I'm not it, so I am not applying for it.
Well, you're a visionary, right? Well, you know, there's two kinds of people. There's the visionaries that drive the organization, and then there's the doers. They're the people that actually keep it running. So the execution arm is always different from the vision arm, I think.
You got it right. Here is another Indian American trying to run for the seat of governor up in South Carolina. Her name is Nikki Haley. Her parents are Indian Americans. She was born here. She is a state representative. And they ask her, would you like to have financing from Indian Americans all over the country, just like they produce for Bobby Jindal? And she's saying, that's not really necessary, but if they want to, I'll sure accept it. In other words, she wants to run for South Carolina. Her demeanor is all South Carolina. She does not want to be a national figure. She just wants to be South Carolina. And according to the current governor, who cannot run for the next election, he says she's terrific and inspiring choice of governor. He has not endorsed her yet, but there are 4 candidates. If she makes it through the Republican primary, she's a shoo-in.
Really?
Just like
Is she a Republican?
Yeah, she's a Republican.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm kidding. No, I wish her the best of luck. I think it's great to see a female face there. I think she's got a tough state, though. I mean, South Carolina is a tough state.
No, South Carolina is all Republican anyway.
It is, but it's still a tough state, I think, overall. I don't know how the demographics will lay out in favor or disfavor for her.
She won big the last time. She won the re-election last time. She's been up there since 5 years now. She has the experience. She will be the governor of South Carolina.
Hey, wouldn't that be great? We'd have Bobby Jindal, and we would have her if she...
Yes.
Well, I wish her luck, even though she was not my party, but I still wish her luck. Here are a couple of cute stories I found in Time magazine. One of them is, if you've been noticing television lately, you've noticed that television always mimics or art imitates reality, reality imitates art. Have you noticed that all the themes on TV have to do with downsizing and layoffs and recession? Well, it's not a coincidence. I think people know that television becomes a major source for people to deal with their problems. They look for similar circumstances on TV, and from that, we figure out how often to react in our own lives. Well, it's no joke that there's a lot of new shows that are going to be coming up that talk about these difficult things, like what happens when you rejuvenate a town, or there's a recession and daddy loses his job. These are recurring themes now on television, and will be for some time, because TV networks have realized that that's the only way to capture and keep their audience, because if they still talk about good stuff in the heyday, people realize that it's not reality anymore and they can't relate to it one-to-one anymore, so they stop watching television and the advertisers don't come then. So by tailoring the lines to match our circumstances, we tend to be more engaged in the television show, and consequently more people watch. You know, it's so common sense, and yet I don't even think about it sometimes when I'm watching TV, but it really does imitate our lives.
But you know, I disagree with that. You know, folks, if I am unhappy, I want to take myself out of that unhappiness and actually be daydreaming or seeing something that actually is very exciting.
Sure.
For me to see the drudgery of my day and then play it out on television, I don't know. I'm not for it.
You know, the networks try to explain it with humor. They tell you other ways to deal with it, right? They put it in different contexts. But the idea is that you can relate now to the shows on TV without, you know, feeling like it's a whole other reality that you can't be a part of.